Your dog hears you say one word. Its head tips to the side. You laugh. You grab your phone. You film it. But almost nobody knows what that tilt actually means. Most owners think it's just a cute reflex. Scientists only worked out otherwise a few years ago, almost by accident. And what they found says something surprising about what's going on inside your dog's head. Some dogs do it because they're thinking hard. Some dogs do it because their brain works differently to others. And in some dogs, that same tilt is trying to tell you something is wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know which one your dog is doing. And you'll never watch that head tilt the same way again. Before we get into the science, let's deal with the worry first. If your dog only tilts when you talk, or when a sound catches its attention, that's completely normal. You can relax. Keep watching. This is the fun part. But if the tilt never goes away, even when your dog is resting, and it always leans the same direction, pay attention. Especially if it comes with stumbling, circling, or vomiting. That combination can point to a problem with your dog's balance system, and it's worth a vet visit. We'll come back to this properly later, with exactly what to look for. For now, if your dog's tilt is the cute, occasional kind, here's what's actually happening inside its head. Here's something strange. Dogs have lived alongside us for tens of thousands of years. We've studied their sense of smell, their loyalty, their sleep. But almost nobody had properly studied the head tilt. Then a research team in Hungary tripped over the answer. They weren't even looking for it. They were studying something else entirely, something called gifted word learner dogs. And that's where this story really starts. Most dogs can't remember the name of more than 1 or 2 toys. You can say, "Bring the duck," 100 times, and your dog will still just bring whatever's closest. But a small number of dogs are different. Researchers at Jevus Lorand University in Budapest found a handful of dogs who could learn 10 toy names or more. All of them were border collies. One dog, named Whiskey, correctly fetched 54 out of 59 toys he'd learned. That's not luck. That's memory. The researchers called these dogs gifted word learners. And while testing them, they noticed something odd happening every single time. Right before the dog went to fetch the right toy, its head would tilt. At first, the team barely paid attention to it. Then the pattern kept repeating. So they decided to dig deeper. Here's where it gets genuinely surprising. The researchers compared the gifted dogs to typical dogs. They played the owner's voice, asking for a toy by name. The gifted dogs tilted their heads 43% of the time. The typical dogs tilted just 2% of the time. That is not a small gap. That is a completely different behavior. So the tilt wasn't random. It wasn't about hearing better. It showed up most in the dogs whose brains were working hardest to recall something specific. The lead researcher, Andrea Samis, compared it to something humans do without noticing. When you're trying to remember a story, you sometimes tilt your head too, like you're reaching for a mental image. Samis' theory is that dogs might be doing something similar, matching a sound they just heard to a picture stored in their memory. Not just listening. Remembering. Here's a detail almost no owner notices. Most dogs tilt to the same side, every single time. Researchers tracked this over 24 months with the gifted dogs. The side stayed consistent for each individual dog, but it wasn't the same side across all of them. Some were what researchers called right tilters. Others were left tilters. It's a bit like humans being right-handed or left-handed. One side of the brain seems to be doing more of the work. So next time your dog tilts, take a moment. Which side does it favor? That small detail might be telling you something about how its brain is wired. Now, memory isn't the only explanation, and it's important to be honest about that. For years, the leading theory was about hearing. A dog's outer ear flap, the pinna, can actually block some sound. When your dog tilts its head toward a noise, it may be adjusting those ear flaps to catch the sound better. Vets at VCA animal hospitals point out that if a sound comes from the front, dogs often tilt toward it. If it comes from behind, they'll usually turn first, then tilt. There's also a vision theory. Some researchers, including psychologist Stanley Coren, noticed something in dogs with longer muzzles, breeds like greyhounds, whose snouts can partly block their view of your face. Coren's early observation suggested these dogs tilted more often, possibly to get a clearer look at your expression. So hearing plays a role. Sight may play a role. And now, memory appears to play a role too. These theories aren't fighting each other. Put them together, and a clearer picture forms. Your dog tilts its head to catch a sound better, to see your face more clearly around its own snout, and to match what it's hearing with a memory it already holds. 3 senses, working as one system, in a single small movement. That's what makes the head tilt so remarkable. It's not just a reflex. It's your dog's brain doing several jobs at once. Earlier, we mentioned the warning signs briefly. Let's go a little deeper, for anyone who wants to know exactly what vets look for. A persistent tilt is different from the cute kind. One that stays there even at rest, even when your dog is asleep or relaxed. That can be a sign of a problem in the vestibular system, the part of the inner ear and brain responsible for balance. Veterinary neurologists say a tilt becomes concerning when it comes with other signs. Stumbling. Circling. Unusual eye movements. Vomiting. Sudden loss of balance. One common cause is something called idiopathic vestibular disease. It often shows up suddenly in older dogs. It looks alarming, but the good news is, most dogs recover well with supportive veterinary care. Other causes include ear infections, and in rarer cases, something more serious involving the brain. If you ever see a tilt that lingers, doesn't switch sides, and brings other symptoms with it, it's worth a trip to the vet. Not because something is definitely wrong, but because catching it early makes recovery far more likely. Scientists haven't stopped digging into this. A more recent study looked at head tilting in a wider group of dogs, beyond just the gifted ones. It found dogs tilted almost only when responding to human language, not to other kinds of sounds. That supports the idea that this really is tied to processing what we say. But researchers are still cautious. In that same study, only around 40 out of over 100 dogs tilted at all. So not every dog does it, and that's completely normal too. Some dogs process language without showing it this way. Interestingly, other research has noticed dogs tilting their heads in moments of surprise too, like when startled by something unexpected. Which raises a fair question. Is this really about language, or is it more about a dog's brain trying to process something new and important? Scientists don't have the full answer yet. And that honesty is part of what makes this research exciting. We are still, right now, in the early chapters of understanding this. So the next time your dog tilts its head at you, pause for a second. It might be listening harder than you realized. It might be reaching for a memory of a word it knows. It might just be adjusting its ears to catch a sound. Or, if that tilt lingers and doesn't switch sides, it might be worth a checkup. Either way, it's a small window into a mind that's more thoughtful than we often give it credit for. Dogs have spent tens of thousands of years learning to understand us. Maybe it's time we spent a little more effort understanding them back. If this changed the way you see your dog, hit subscribe. Here's something scientists still haven't answered. Does the side your dog favors mean anything at all about how it thinks? Nobody knows yet. Drop a comment and tell us which side your dog tilts to. Maybe the answer starts right there, in a comment section full of dog owners. And if you want to understand more of what your dog's body language is really saying, there's another video waiting for you right here.